Hello, Slothrin and adult fans of LEGO. It is time for another episode of Sloth City. And today is a little different. One thing that's different is I have Shiloh the cat milling around my feet and underneath the table and periodically chirping and meowing and scuffling and throwing clouds of fur up into the air. But we're going to ignore that. We have more important things to talk about. What do we have to talk about? Well, today is May the 4th, which doesn't really matter much to people like me because I am not a huge Star Wars fanatic, so I don't tend to celebrate May 4th as a Star Wars holiday, but a lot of people do. And especially in the LEGO community, a lot of people do. Because there are a lot of Star Wars fans in the LEGO community. And I'm a LEGO fan, so LEGO Star Wars does find its way into Sloth City. But what I'm not a fan of is licenses. So anybody who comes to Sloth City kind of loses any licensed storylines. For one thing, I'm astonishingly ignorant of them. I haven't seen probably all of the movies. If I have, I've only seen them once. I wasn't paying really close attention. I never learned anybody's names. I haven't seen the series. I haven't seen the TV shows. So if you're talking about the Clone Wars, you're talking about the Mandalorian, you're talking about any of that, I don't know anything about that. Again, I don't know the names, I don't know the plot lines, I really don't care. It annoys me that licensed themes cost more than non-licensed themes. So I don't want to promote that, so I don't buy licensed themes, I don't buy the sets. I don't ever know anything about that stuff. So I'm going to show you some of our citizens and, some of the Star Wars quote unquote related influences that are here. But as you will see, they are just incorporated into the city. They are citizens living their lives. They are not doing anything related to Star Wars. So if we start off, if we come up over here to the Shrimp Shack, you can see that a couple of our diners probably started life in the Star Wars universe. And if we come over to the streets of Sloth City, you might notice that some of the animals in Sloth City, and I am about to pause the camera and change my camera angle, hold with me, like our fine alien riding duck here. Yes, technically, he came to us from the Star Wars universe, but here we don't really reference that because I don't know anything about that. I can't tell you anything about that animal in the Star Wars universe. Here he is a fine riding duck, and he is being ridden by his owners who, again, came from different themes themselves. One is from, I believe, the Nexonite universe. One is from Space Police, perhaps. But if you continue to move on in Sloth City, you just see citizens doing their own thing. Here are Gwen and Daphne. They're out on a date. I don't think they'd be doing that if they had stayed in the Star Wars universe. I'm sorry, I just don't. Because there's no freedom for droids there. They don't have personal lives. They don't go on dates. You have to come to Sloth City for that. So yes, we do have some elements from the Star Wars universe, but I can't really tell you anything about them because they're mixed in with all the other stuff that I also mostly don't know an awful lot about, because I didn't research that. I just wanted to play with the pieces. So that concludes the May the 4th be with you portion of this video, and now we are going to move on and meet a few new citizens before I wrap this up. And here are the new citizens. And these all came off of Bricklink, and they were purchased in parts, individual parts. So they came here unassembled and were assembled on arrival. So that is a rather creative way to travel, I think. And I don't know if I would like it for myself. But it seems to have worked out well for them because two of them, the reptilian citizens on either end, this fine gentleman with the purple head, and this other fine gentleman with the green head and the extra side fangs, were actually just heads in a parts bin. They didn't have bodies. They didn't have lives of their own. They were just waiting to be rescued. So was Mr. Fish here. He was just a head and torso, and he had not been given arms or legs, and he was sitting in a parts bin, waiting to be purchased for a song. And so he has been sprung from the prison of the parts bin. He has been given fine Hero Factory arms and legs, so he is now a man about town. He can pose with the best of them. He has arms that can do different things. They can do what they're doing now, which is kind of, bluff up rap star, I'm going to kick your ass before I start breakdancing sort of a pose, I think. And he can move those arms around and do things with them. He can use his Hero Factory legs to walk about the city. He is a fine citizen. And speaking of May the 4th, as we were before, do not refer to this fine citizen as Sebulba. This is not Sebulba. This is perhaps some member of whatever race Sebulba is. But as you can see, he has had life experiences. He has been in the wars a bit. And so he has been decked out with some fine bionic Exoforce legs, some fine bronze or copper-colored Exoforce legs, so he can go and do his thing. He is not limited in any way. He is probably not worth anything to a fancy collector who wants to have everything be as it was sold by Lego, but I don't care about that. These are not for resale. These are just people that I wanted to be able to have lives. I didn't want them languishing around in a parts bin with no legs. I didn't want them languishing somewhere with no arms, with no lives, waiting to be assembled with some other arbitrary parts that somebody decided, they needed to have because that's what Lego determined when they originally manufactured them. That's just a bunch of bull. So, we have those fine figures, and then we have these two absolutely excellent giant rock monsters who, again, were just lying around with no arms in the world. And now they have arms. Now they can go and do giant rock monster things, which, if you press these little buttons, seems to be bowling. So, just as soon as we get a bowling alley in Sloth City, these guys are going to be in charge of it because they apparently were born to bowl. And we have some of our other larger members of Sloth City society who are so excited to see these new members of society, are excited to meet other non-shrimpoid people like they consider the normal minifigure size. They just want to have more of a circle of friends that are like them. They're looking forward to meeting them. And of course, these smaller rock monsters are looking forward to meeting them because those are still their family. Those are still cousins, even though they could accidentally step on them and squash them like bugs. They're still family. But yes, indeed, we have these fine new members of Sloth City Society, and they already have plans. They already have things that they're going to do. Mr. Fish here is going to be working at the Marine Research Center because as a originally aquatic sort of a life form, an evolved aquatic life form, he, of course, knows quite about the aquatic life, so he is going to be bringing his point of view to the Marine Research Center. And of course, we've got a lot of reptilians in Sloth City. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I'm sure they are going to be absorbed into the community, into the melting pot that is Sloth City. And they will have jobs, and they will have partners, they will have wonderful lives going on. They'll probably end up, with apartments or homes in Sloth Acres Housing Edition. Everybody just is looking forward to living happy ever after in Sloth City, because that's what we do here. Everybody in Sloth City may have adventures, but they still end up living happy ever after. So on that positive note, thank you for joining me. Thank you for meeting our new citizens and joining us for this little May 4th update that never would have been a May 4th update because I would have done it yesterday, except that these new citizens didn't arrive until this morning. So, on that note, thank you for coming. I hope you'll join me for the next great installation of Sloth City Adventures. And until then, my dear Slothrin and adult fans of Lego, I hope that you have a fantabulous day.